Hey, welcome to the DIY Marketing School podcast. I'm your host and your marketing coach, Melanie Diane Howe. And today we're going to talk about pushing forward when we feel like we have to do everything perfect or we have to be good before we get started. If you are an entrepreneur or a business person, you've probably heard this advice before. You've heard progress over perfection, done is better than perfect. This is another one of those types of pep talks, but I'm going to give you my take on it. All right, let's go. Why are we so freaking hard on ourselves? Have you ever actually sat back and just been like, why am I so hard on myself? Why do I have these crazy expectations for myself? I think that we often can really fabricate what the reality is. We can fabricate what people are expecting of us, our audience, our clients, our customers, even personally, in our personal lives. We put these expectations on ourselves, and where do they come from? Why do we feel like when we start something new that we're supposed to be perfect at it? Why do we feel like we're not supposed to suck when we get started at something? Why do we tell ourselves, hey, this is supposed to be easy? The fact of the matter is, it's not supposed to be easy. Even if it's a relatively easy thing to learn to do, it's not easy until you do it. It's not easy until you learn. It's still a foreign thing to you. It's still completely new to you, So, and then, the mindset that goes into so many things when it comes to being a creator, an online entrepreneur, a person who's in business for themselves, starting a business for themselves, there are all kinds of mindset things that we run into as well. Why do we tell ourselves that we're supposed to be like these mental warriors that don't get affected by self-doubt, imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, fear of being judged, doing something wrong, feeling foolish or looking foolish or making a mistake? Why do we feel like we're not allowed to have those things happen? So, and the reason I'm saying this is because so often, and I have totally done this, I catch myself still doing it. It's a muscle that we have to flex and work and develop, and that is perseverance, and that is the ability to press forward, the ability to take action, the ability to keep going, the ability to be scared, to do it scared, the ability to have a growth mindset. There's this amazing book actually called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. It's written by Carol Dweck. And she talks about this concept of the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And the fixed mindset is, basically you're afraid to try things that you're not going to be good at. You're afraid to take things on or to sign up for things that you are afraid that you won't excel at. You're not going to sign up for the hard workshop because it's hard, or you're not going to take the time to learn to do it because it's difficult. You're going to pick the easier thing to do because that you can get through it and you'll be good at it. It's kind of like, kids who don't take on certain sports because they suck at it at first. Like, I think this is why so many people hate the game of golf. This is why so many people hate golf, because you can be super athletic and go out there and try to swing a golf club and look like you've never played a sport your whole life. It truly is that kind of sport. I mean, it's a pretty challenging sport. And it's also that kind of sport you can play for your whole life and still struggle. It just is. All you golfers know what I'm saying. So, and then all you people who have tried golf and said, I hated it. Yeah, probably know the feeling, right? But the growth mindset would be somebody who approaches that and says, oh, I love how hard it is. I love that it's difficult. I love the process of figuring it out. I love the idea that it's super hard and I can overcome that challenge and I'll be so proud of myself on the other side. Now, there's a lot more that goes into that. So essentially the fixed mindset is somebody who kind of stays comfortable and picks the things that they know they're going to be good at. And a growth mindset, they actually love the challenge. They enjoy that part. They enjoy the process of figuring something challenging out, knowing that they may never figure it out. They actually go into it knowing they may never figure it out. But they go for it anyway. And there's all kinds of stuff in this book that she references about kids, and it's about business and parenting and relationships, because what I just described applies to all aspects. That she talks a lot about kids, and she did these studies, but she also talks about how we can have fixed and growth mindsets in our businesses and in our personal relationships. And she goes on with other things too. So this book was really, really impactful for me. I will make sure that I include an Amazon link in the show notes for you to check that book out if you've not read that book. I really do think it's a great book that anyone should read. It's a pretty easy read as well. Very, very, very helpful. But the whole reason I'm bringing this book up is because I think so often in business, the other thing too is you could have a growth mindset in your personal life or how you approached school, but you might have a fixed mindset in how you take on new challenges with business. And I know that when I first was reading the descriptions of the fixed and the growth mindset, I was like, oh, I'm a growth mindset. I'm a creative person. I'm a visionary. I've got all the ideas and this and that. But then when I really started digging in, I was like, oh man, I am so a fixed mindset sometimes, like maybe more often than I'm really willing or proud to say. And it was really eye-opening for me. But what's really great is that just because you are a fixed mindset in one area of your life or business does not mean you're stuck that way. You can train yourself to recognize it and take action and put tools into place to take action. There's another awesome book by Mel Robbins called The 5-Second Rule. And she talks a lot about if we give ourselves too much energy and time and space to kind of like make action or take action or make decisions that are difficult, then we don't actually follow through with them. And so she talks about creating this little process for yourself to take the action. Like when you feel that feeling and you recognize that you feel that feeling coming on, that feeling of doubt and fear and apprehension, that you got to take that moment to put your little process in place. And for her, it's that 5-second rule. She counts down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, dial the number. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send the email. Click send. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click go live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, knock on the door. Right? She says, if you count it down, create that process. And she, came up with this whole concept of, she decided, she was no longer going to hit the snooze button and she was going to start getting up early because she wanted to be present. She wanted to just start to get her life together. And she just decided, and she was in a really low place, and she decided, I'm just going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launching myself out of bed. And that's where this whole concept started for her. So that's an example of looking at a situation where you're going to be in that fixed mindset for whatever reason. I believe that we have fixed mindsets for triggers. I think they're deep. I think they're psychological. And I think in order to improve them and overcome them, you have to do some of that deep work to discover and to be honest with yourself about those roadblocks. But then use some of these tools or these guides that these amazing people provide to us, whether it be podcasts that you listen to or just a to-do list that you make in the morning. If you're more likely to get things done or take action because you want to mark it off the to-do list, then make the to-do list, right? You've got to figure out what are your tools to equip yourself so that you can make things happen. But the whole concept is you're not stuck. You can do it. You can do these hard things. You can let go of the fear. You can start to put yourself out there. You can start to recognize when you're in that moment where you start to feel whatever it is that you start to feel when you start to put things off. And you can start to recognize the things you do to distract yourself from having that real talk with yourself, like organizing the pantry, cleaning the house when you're supposed to be working on something, going shopping to buy something, to take your mind off of work or to take your mind off of that thing you're supposed to be doing, watching Netflix, turning on the TV, saying, oh, I'm just going to take a break here. I need to just give myself some time before I do that hard task. And then next thing you know, the hour's gone by and now you don't have time to get it done. Whatever those things are, you need to also start to recognize those coping things, those replacements, those distractions. You got to start to recognize those and you got to stop them. So where are you holding back? Where are you not taking action? And, you know where those areas are. You know where they are because you know that feeling you feel, that little icky feeling of guilt inside sometimes, or even a little shame. Like you're like, oh man, I need to be doing that. Those things you're putting off. Why are we putting it off? Are we putting it off because we're afraid of it not being great? Do we have that fixed mindset? Are we putting it off because we know it's going to be hard? It's going to take time to get good at it? Are we putting it off because we don't feel we're good enough yet? Well, if that's the case, then one of the things I wanted to talk about on this episode is we're not supposed to be good at these things at first. We're not supposed to have it figured out. We're not supposed to be great at writing copy, creating videos, taking pictures, whatever it is. You're not supposed to be, the first version is not supposed to be an A+. Why do we expect to be born with these skills? Because if these are things that you're trying, they're new, right? Which I'm assuming they are. Well, no matter how old you are, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 60s, I don't care. If you've never done it before and you're not taking action or you're not going forward with it because you're waiting until you're better at it or because you don't think you're good enough, why do you think that you were supposed to be born with that talent? You don't put those expectations on yourself with other things like learning the alphabet, learning how to write your name. Your kids, are you like, why don't you know how to spell? Why don't you know this algebra, right? We don't feel that way. We know that they have to develop those skills. So tell yourself the same thing. You've got to learn and develop the skills. But just like kids in school, they don't sit in the classroom and listen to the teacher or watch an e-learning module and then all of a sudden they now know how to do the algebra. They have to do the homework. They have to do the practice exercises. They have to do the daily, assignments to get good at it, to learn it, to apply it, to get better at it. And then it becomes, some of those math problems and processes become second nature. Just like you can do basic multiplication almost by memory. You don't actually have to calculate some of those basic math problems. You just have, now they're ingrained in you like second nature. And what I want you to know is that there are things in our business that can be the same way. So if you're afraid to launch that podcast, if you've been putting it off, if you bought the microphone and you're like me and you bought a microphone because you wanted to start a podcast and then you started diving into it and you're like, ooh, this is a little more complicated than I thought, or because you were afraid or you didn't know what to talk about yet, or even live video, you bought the camera, you bought the webcam. Because you saw it and you saw a recommendation for it, you bought it, but you still haven't gone live yet. You signed up for the software that you're going to use to go live, but you still aren't going live. It's the same thing. You're not using Instagram stories yet or Reels or TikTok or whatever, it is in your world right now that you're putting off because you don't feel comfortable yet because you don't know how to do it. It's the same. Learn, go to YouTube, go to Google, get a course, learn how to do these things, but then take action. You got to do the daily work. You got to do the homework assignments. That's how you get better at it. And I can tell you that the more you do this stuff, that with the higher frequency, the more comfortable it becomes, the easier it gets. Your courage builds up because, as I always say, that action is what actually creates the courage. It's not the courage that creates the action. Now, you do have to find the courage to take action initially, but what you may have to do instead is create a process for yourself to get over that fixed mindset. Maybe it's the Mel Robbins process, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click record, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click publish, whatever it is. You got to figure out that process for yourself. That is that's what I like to call systematic courage. You are working on something to push yourself forward, to mitigate the things holding you back. But what I'm saying is those little mitigators, those little things that you do are going to become second nature, just like the basic math problems. And you won't have this big process of getting yourself geared up and ready to go because you're terrified to click the go live button and be live on screen. You won't have that anymore. That process will become easier. You may still need to do a little bit of it, but I promise you it will get easier. You will start to create more content, put more content out there. Your email list will grow. You'll have more people coming into your world. You'll be able to make more money. You'll be able to make a bigger impact in the world. You'll be more confident reaching out to somebody else and saying, hey, I want to be on your show. You will start to get that networking online and you'll start to see those results. But if you continue to sit back and let the fixed mindset stay in place, and you put these expectations on yourself and you allow yourself to continue to wait, then what if you don't get to put yourself out there? What if you don't put yourself out there? Think about all those people that won't get your help. Think about all those people out there who need what it is you have to offer. And maybe you're still figuring all that out too. You can. The more you get yourself out there and the more content you create, and again, just taking these actions, marketing yourself, having conversations online, whether it be a podcast, a blog, or videos, I don't care. The more you take action, the more content you create, the more clarity you will get. Content does create clarity. Action creates clarity. I have another episode where I talk about this, about you don't have to look at it as a complete pivot. You're just realigning yourself. You're making these small tweaks as you go. As you create content, as you get to know an audience, and as you market yourself, your audience will start talking back to you. Other people in your world will start to reach out to you to be a guest on their show, their podcast, whatever. You'll start to gravitate and figure out the conversations you love talking about the most. And you will be able to slowly evolve and align yourself to whatever it is that you should be doing. And whatever it is that brings you the most joy, because it has to bring you joy. It has to be fun. And I have a whole podcast episode about that. I will link to it in the show notes for sure, where I talk about that process and I talk about my journey of that. And I know that I'm still on that journey, and I don't actually ever plan to be off of that journey, and you shouldn't either. But you're not actually on the journey if you're sitting back, waiting to figure out where you're going to go. Just start going somewhere. Grab a map and get going, right? Tiny destinations, one step at a time. But start taking that action and allow yourself a little grace that you're not supposed to be good at anything to start. You're really not. You will be naturally better at some things than others, but you're not really supposed to be great at anything to start. In fact, you're supposed to suck at everything. Just like when you were learning, your kids are learning how to write, how to learn the alphabet, how to learn math. They're not supposed to know all that. They have to learn it and apply it. And so do you in your personal life, in your business, wherever it is that you are holding back. So, I just kind of wanted to share that with you guys today, because it's something that I've really, really, really had to focus on heavily for years. And I continue to develop that muscle, those muscles. And here's the other thing. They change. New territory comes, new challenges come as you grow and evolve as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as a business person. You will, it's kind of like, you're accomplishing, you're taking steps along the way. And sometimes you get to points where it's like, oh, it's time for a new chapter. And you got to learn new skills and take new things on. So you're always going to be evolving. But this is something that I've had to really, 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 really focus on hard. And once I actually started to just do some of the things I talked about in this episode, I started to feel so much better, and I started to get results, and things just felt smoother. And and the thing that's crazy is I know I'm not the first person who's telling you this message today. You've probably listened to other podcasts where they say the same thing. You've probably read books where they say the same things. Maybe you've even read Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, where you already know this concept of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Maybe you've heard me talk about it before. I've talked about this book in the past. But I just wanted to be one more person, one more podcast episode in your ear that you can listen to today, or even re-listen to another day when you need that pep talk. So that, my friend, is what I wanted to give you today. Whether it's, again, starting a business, creating a website for your business, getting a photo shoot done, even though you feel super insecure having your picture taken, creating live videos, launching a podcast, any of those things, emailing your list, any of it, partnering with other people, going on other shows, pitching yourself to be a speaker at a conference, pitching yourself for a job, any of it. I wanted to give you this pep talk to help you through that process. I hope that you listen to this and it lit a little fire underneath you so that you can actually go make those things happen. Remember, action creates the courage. And the more action we take, the more clarity we get. So take the action, feel the courage, and get more clarity. Make it happen today. Send me a DM. I want to know what it is you're going to do today. I want to know what it is that this podcast episode fired you up for. Send me a personal note, please. I love hearing these stories. I love hearing these personal stories from you. Some of you guys send me emails because you're on my email list. Some of you guys will send me a DM on Instagram. Some of you will send me a DM on Facebook. I love hearing these stories. So send me a DM. I'm at Melanie Diane, just about everywhere, including Instagram. Or send me an email to hello@melaniediane.com. I really do want to hear what it is that you did today to take action, to get that courage, and to get more clarity. Okay, my friend, you know what comes next. Get out there, go do the thing, go be awesome. But it's okay if it sucks first, because it's going to be awesome later. So let it suck now, make it awesome later. Okay, have a good day.